Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video here on my YouTube channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to W key like Vadeal, but we're going to be doing it slightly differently as compared to the videos in the past, which is the fact that we're going to be watching his solo cash cup, which is going to lead to more advanced analysis. So if you guys want more basic stuff, please go watch my other videos. This one's going to be a more advanced breakdown of more complicated stuff that I perhaps have not mentioned in the past, and hopefully you guys can learn something new from it. But let's get started. I basically wanted to skip the first game entirely, so you'll see I'm literally 2 minutes into the video. I really wanted to not watch the first game because the first game is low elo, so let's just skip right into game 2. So let's take a look. This is a very off spawn fight. You can see his loot's not that crazy. He doesn't even have a shotgun for that matter. He's a gray SMG, and that's what he's fighting with. In this specific case, if you have just an SMG and you're relying on your tracking, it's very important to get up close and personal, because yes, your opponent might actually have a shotgun, but sometimes there's nothing you can do. Like, you just have to take the fight. And so when you have an SMG and no shotgun, what I would recommend is get into a situation where they can't separate you with a build. The most simple solution is to just get in from the top. Why through the top? Because if you get in through the top, gravity allows you to get in easier. Obviously you can phase in too, but the only thing I don't like about that is that you usually become very obvious in terms of what you want to do to the opponent, because you have to place a ramp. But if you go in through the top and you want to get in, it's much more effective. So he does try to get a wall and try to get some damage, but in this specific case right here, this is a very easy angle. Even if the opponent actually places a floor in this specific case like this, that's only one surface. And usually in a game like Fortnite and other games too, other shooters in general, it's very difficult to be aware of the up direction. This is one of the reasons why high ground is strong in Endgame, because you can't really see the people above you unless you explicitly look. When I make a new box, a really fresh box with, you know, low HP walls, and someone comes in through the top, oftentimes that seems to be the most common scenario where people are able to get in, and I feel like Vadeal is about to do exactly that. So let's take a look. He gets in. That's actually a stare completely. The opponent doesn't place the floor. He's actually crosshairing with, is that a harpoon? I believe that's a harpoon. So crosshairing with the harpoon for some reason. Unfortunately, that's just not going to do it. I don't even think if the opponent's holding a shotgun that the opponent stands a chance, because the one important trait that Vadeal has that really serves him well is his aim. And a lot of people don't like to go to the basics when it comes to analysis, but ultimately at this point in the video, I really have to point this out. Aim is one of those skills that genuinely matters so much in a game like Fortnite. Even though there's building, even though the fact that you can block shots, I do believe that aim is one of the skills that is one of the most important things that you must practice as a pro player. If you take a look in this specific example with Vadeal and his SMG no shotgun scenario, where he quite literally has to hit every shot, I feel like you're gonna find that he's going to hit every shot, right? And even though his opponent kind of trolled with the harpoon, I feel like Vadeal is very safe here because of his reliable aim. Fight number 2, let's take a look. We'll speed this up. Try to get through the fights in a timely manner. Smacks once before dropping on the floor, and then smacks twice, tries to place, and then places floor after. You see the order of the builds that he does. He doesn't try to do this slowly. So the slowest way to do this, honestly, and actually the most telegraphed way, you don't want to, you know, telegraph your intentions to the opponent, is to sort of place the cone first, step onto it, take out pickaxe, smack once, and then smack twice, right? Instead of doing that, what's best is do it while you're moving. Do it while you're getting to the position that you want to be in. So smack once, fall, smack midair, place floor, and that's just like a better order in my personal opinion. It just catches him off guard. So you see how he smacks twice before he even places the floor, and he's falling mid-second swing. So that's really good because it offers speed. It gets it done faster, and whenever you do something with speed, it gives your opponent less time to actually prepare a counter plan. The thing in Fortnite is that we want to do things faster. In my personal opinion, fast is usually good as long as you can handle the speed that you're going at, and usually fast players like Vadeal, Norelli, Malabuka, these guys are catching people off guard, even pro players, because of their speed. You'll take a look. Vadeal tries to work on this wall actually now. For whatever reason, actually, I don't think there's a particular reason why, but he just decides to go for this wall. But you can actually see, it's kind of difficult with the webcam, but I'll turn it off real quick just so you can see the opponent's right here, right? And so the opponent's going from this position and coming out. What does that tell you? It tells you the telegraphed intention of the opponent. It's telling you that the opponent wants to edit, right? And so Vadeal, you can kind of, I don't know if we can prove this at any point, but I imagine Vadeal's not looking here. Vadeal's looking at the opponent. That's where his eyes are trained, or he sees the opponent in the peripheral vision, right? But either way, it's very clear to me in the split second that the opponent's going to run out at you. right? It's very obvious. The movement tells a story. Whether they have a gun in their hand or a blueprint in their hand tells a story. You need to be able to read your opponent and be able to tell what they're up to, and that's what's key. You need to be able to read your opponent and sort of feel them out. You need to sort of see what they're up to and sort of predict what they're up to. Think of Fortnite like a combat sport. It's very similar. It's quite literally you're fighting someone in a virtual world, but essentially in a combat sport, I imagine, I'm not an expert in MMA or boxing or anything of that sort, but I imagine a common theme or a rule I can sort of infer. You need to keep your eyes on your opponent. You need to sort of figure out what they're about to do, what they want to do. And so the reason you do that is because then you can come up with the correct response. And in this specific case, if the opponent is running out at you on the left wall, the correct response is to split yourself up and place a wall in between you and the opponent by placing a wall right here, right? And that's exactly what Vadeal does in this specific case. Reacts correctly in a split second. And so sometimes that's what Fortnite is, right? It's coming up with that correct answer in the split second, right? And sometimes it's not just chess. You don't have all day to come up with that move. You have to do it very instinctually. That's why I say Fortnite's like combat sports and not like chess, because like chess, unless you're playing ultra speed chess, you don't have all day to actually make your move. In Fortnite, in this specific case, there are a set number of responses to every move that your opponent makes. Vadeal actually opts to edit here and then just trade SMG. For whatever reason, I think he has HP advantage on this guy, and then because of his reliable aim, he's able to actually trade SMG, and he wants to win. And so notice something, right? Obviously in like a 1v1 realistic where you don't have pressure to end the fight quickly, and we can go into why that's important, you can take all day to kill your opponent. No one really cares. And usually 1v1 realistics can actually create this bad habit within your fighting skills, which is to take all day with your fighting, right? But in a very practical environment like arena, like solo cash cups, for example, it's very important that you end the fight quickly. There's two reasons why, right? There's not just one reason. The most obvious reason is third party. So you want to end the fight quickly, maybe keep it under 30 seconds, because then other people have less opportunity to come in third party you, which is very dangerous in Fortnite. The other reason is you want to end the fight quickly so your opponent doesn't waste the heals and mats that you're about to loot from them after you kill them. Because if you kill them very, very quickly and cleanly, then you have the snowball effect in W key games or in general, which is the fact that you get a bunch of loot and a bunch of shield. And so in a W key game, for example, you can continue to key, and in a normal game, you can then use all that time to position rather than looting. Like, for example, if you kill someone and they're very scuffed and you don't get a lot of loot from it, then you have to spend time farming metal. You have to spend time getting your loot up because you're still scuffed. You're not ready for endgame. But if you kill someone very quickly and cleanly and they happen to be stacked, then you're very chilling in that regard. You're going to go to zone and position yourself. Maybe hide in a bush for 2 zones straight because you don't have anything else to do. And so then you're less vulnerable to attacks from someone else because you're chilling in a bush or in a corner of a house. You're already ready for endgame. So that's the key. End the fights quickly. This is where your fighting skill can actually set you up for endgame better, because let's say someone keys you, right? But it takes long because it's maybe the skill level is close, or you're not able to get some counter damage through pre-fires. It's going to take a while, and then both of you guys are griefed because he's going to be healing and you're going to be healing, and you're going to be spending a lot of mats because you're reboxing constantly. And whoever wins the fight, even if by some miracle you win the fight, you just spent 3 minutes, now it's second zone, and you just spent 3 minutes to get nothing. Right? Good luck refarming in second zone in a stack lobby. It's next to impossible, which is why I must make the point that fighting is actually really, really important, and a lot of people underrate it. They underrate it. They don't actually value it where it's supposed to be valued, right? Obviously, game sense is important. Obviously, surge plans are important. And yes, all of this is crucial to your success as a Fortnite player, but it's very important you don't undervalue fighting. I want this video to actually be a little bit more advanced and sort of tailored towards more, topics that are not talked about that often. And so it's very important that you become good at fighting. So how can you do that, right? I'm going to really quickly touch on this and then we'll move on. You must fight challenging people. Okay, but at the same time, you need to fight people with different playstyles. There's very easy ways to do this. I think most of you guys know the answer already. You just don't want to do it. That's the real issue. I don't think people don't know how to do it. I think people are either they don't believe that it helps enough for them to justify using their time on it, or they just are bored and don't want to do the work, the hard work. So the first thing is creative versus a friendly person that maybe a friend or like a teammate or someone that is around your skill level or better. Ideally better. If you could lose to someone, right, not by like a huge margin, but like it would be challenging enough for where you would lose, you will grow as a fighter. You will learn, you will grow. There's a whole reason why pro players at the top tell you to get shit on, They want you to learn from the experience, right? So fight someone challenging. Do not fight someone that you're beating. That's just a waste of time. Yes, you can learn from it, but you're not learning as much as compared to, you know, fighting someone that's good. If you are going to spend time in creative, fight someone that's good, right? Second thing is obviously solo arena. Second thing is obviously solo arena. You know where I'm going with this, but I do recommend not to overdo this. A lot of people are now at this point are overdoing this. They're spending all day in arena. I do recommend arena, but don't do it too much. But do it every day if you need to. But Donnie, for example, has given me a positive experience with solo arena, and he's a great fighter. He's like, in my personal opinion, he's like top 10, top 20 fighters in NA East, and he's very, very good at fighting specifically. And he loves solo arena. He's doing it to this day. So if someone like Donnie wants to do solo arena and has no problem doing it, how can you, the person watching this video who has, you know, very little earned, why are you not playing solo arena? And so if it's a boring thing or a discipline thing, that's your problem. That's something that you have to solve. That's something that you have to fix if you want to become a pro player. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't like doing. That's the nature of things. Like, do we want to study for that test? Do we want to study for that exam? Probably not, but we want that grade. And so this is the same thing. Do we want earnings? Do we want to become a pro player? Okay, cool. Are we willing to trade that by playing solo arena and doing things that we don't like? And so try to do the work even if you don't feel like doing it. We do it all the time in our daily lives. We go to the gym even though the reward is delayed. We go write a test even though, and like we study for it even though the reward is delayed. We really do all these examples in our life, but when it comes to Fortnite, because it's a video game, we expect fun out of it. But truthfully, if you want to become a pro player, you're gonna have to treat it with professionalism and try to deal with it in a better way than just a fun video game that you're treating with it now. Big rant. Sorry for that. Sorry for the lengthy rant, but we'll continue. But I really hope that has brought some value to you guys, because I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear. Let's get on to the next fight. This guy's on a height above him. Take a look at what he does. Chooses to go inside. Maybe this guy's scuffed. I'm not too sure. Vadeal gets hit for like 40. What is going on? SMG pretty good. I think that guy was low, so there's some context that we're missing in that fight. Okay, so we get to endgame. Let's take a look at this. Speed rotating on the right. That guy a decent amount. That guy doesn't seem to want to fight. You can see it in his body language. Like, he's no gun in his hands whatsoever. You can see in the blueprint, right? And so Vadeal's not scared to jump in his box for two reasons. Because of that no gun in his hand, but also because of the fact that he has a huge HP advantage. He's probably gonna win. Right? Remember what I said. You value ending the fight quickly over like 1v1 realistics. People play, I used to do this as well. You play like the perfect peak game where you only peak perfectly. But that's a bad habit to get into. And so you need to get into the situation where you want to end the fight quickly, especially when you're given the opportunity to do so. That's what we want. Okay. Really good target selection. He actually just hurt this guy, right? This is the guy who's chasing. A lot of people get really, really scared to chase an endgame. I don't know why. What is this perception that you can't do two things at once? Like, why not go to zone and chase the enemy at the exact same time in one movement? You can do that. Usually that's the case where you move forward, especially if you're shooting at someone in front of you. You kind of have to go forward anyways because that's where zone's going, and then you're chasing them as well. So you're not wasting time chasing them, right? Especially if you harp your way there a little bit and sort of cover your head and cover your back. You're not wasting time, right? You're getting both objectives done at the same time. So in this specific case, he's exactly what he's doing. So if you rewatch this, because I want to make a point, he sees this guy, hits him 87, a significant amount, and his HP is still healthy. If you take a look at the bottom left, he's probably paying attention to this in his peripheral vision, right? You just need to see the color. His health is pretty full, and so he hasn't gotten hit significantly, so he knows he's pretty healthy. As compared to this guy who you just hit, he is HP advantage. Let's go. Let's push, right? And this is how you get impacts, right? You chase people. You don't over chase to the point where like it takes a minute, but you should go after the people that you just hit because you have data on them, right? You have information on them. You know they're lower than you, and so don't waste that by just boxing up and chilling. Right? It's a missed opportunity. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Maybe the opponent responds correctly and actually runs away properly and never gives you a shot, but you'll never get the shot in the first place if you never try, right? So don't assume everyone's a perfect player and you never go for anything and you're too stiff and you don't want to try. It's even like, I think Vadeal actually has a decent amount of mats, right? The problem is if you don't go for this, like this opportunity, this especially it's really free, like you hit him 87, it seems like a really safe opportunity to go for because there's no one around you here, and as soon as you box up next to the enemy box, you're really safe. Now you're in an isolated environment where it's like box v box and there's no open areas where a third party can come and kill you, especially in endgame. So it's really important you go for these opportunities. Because look at Vadeal's mats, right? This is a phenomenon that I really think people should take advantage of more, is the fact that, like, even if you're high mats, Vadeal's 700 mats right now. A lot of people would not feel comfortable going for an impact at 700 mats. When an opportunity is free as this one, where you have a significant HP advantage, and like the HP advantage is good enough where you can quite literally just go up to their wall and just box there, like Vadeal did here, you should go for it. You should really go for it, right? And this goes back to my argument that I was making in the rant previously, which is be good at fighting, have a good shot, really good mechanics, reliable mechanics, so you don't fail, right? And just be good at the mechanics part of it, right? Imagine someone in combat sports who knew the game sense of everything, right? Like knew exactly what to counter with, knew exactly what to do, but didn't have the reflexes, didn't have the instinct. You would fail. You wouldn't be good. You would be an analyst. You would be a coach, right? You wouldn't be a player. Pro players are not respected for usually how smart they are, and that's what coaches and analysts do. Pro players are usually respected for their execution ability, right? Their ability to do things in the moment, do things instinctually, and so that usually refers to mechanics. But like I said, chase the impacts. This is what you need to do. You really do need to chase the impacts. Don't wait. Like, there's no guarantee. Yes, he's at 700 mats, right? He's at 700 right now, but there's no guarantee that there's going to be an impact for you, an opportunity from here till 0, right? As let's say for some reason Vadeal doesn't go for this kill. I wouldn't see why, because this kill is really free, but let's say he doesn't. From 700 mats all the way until 0, there's no guarantee that you get another opportunity. And that's what you have to realize. Impacts and height, like going for height and things of that nature, are very opportunistic in Fortnite. Yes, you can create them. What if for the next 700 mats no one even exposes themselves? That's bad. Now you have no opportunity. And so you can't wait for the perfect opportunity. Don't wait until the very last moment and then expect an impact to come to you, that opportunity to show itself. There's no guarantee. That's not how Fortnite works. Fortnite is very opportunistic. Sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't, right? And so the games where height is free and games where things lucky, like the lucky things happen, that's the games where you need to show up. And sometimes unlucky things do happen. That's where you sort of have to do the best you can, and that's what it is. If you are blessed with impacts and with the mat refresh, usually that game needs to be a good game, right? And so Vadeal is very good and consistent at that, and I feel like that's why he succeeds in solo cash cups in general. This is not his first solo cash cup performance, right? This is something that he's been doing for a while now, which is a successful solo cash cups, and I think this is part of the formula. When you are given the impact and you are put in a position where your mat counts, if I were to draw a graph, right, your mat count, let's say this is your sort of mat count going, and then you get an impact, right? And if I draw the rest of the lobby in red, very similar to you, let's say, usually they won't have impacts like gifted to them on average, and so you'll be very ahead of the rest of the lobby, and so this means you deserve to go for height, right? And so once you have height, the game becomes very easy. It's a guaranteed top 2, especially in solo cash cup. So that's what you should do, and I think once you have that impact, you should be able to convert that game into a top 2. And Vadeal is very good because of his experience, because of his practice. He's very good at converting these opportunities into top 2s. He won't fail at that. That's what Vadeal is. He does that very consistently. Top 10 situation here. It goes up a hill, so you'll see where zone pulls this way. It's very difficult to see on the minimap, but it does pull up a hill. Vadeal goes to another opportunity. If you'll notice, there's like no harm in going for the shot, right? Because it's a really advantageous angle for Vadeal. It's a safe angle. You edit your floor, you're not being seen by anyone. He goes for it. So now there's a chance that this guy's full HP, which in this case he happens to be, but there's also a chance that he's low HP. And so this goes into another concept in Endgame, which is like go for as many shots as possible that are free. And so let's discuss what free means, right? So let's say you have to rotate, like it's urgent, like storm's on your back, but instead you're going for shots, like you're going for pumps on enemies, and you still have mats. You're able to move forward in zone. That's not a free shot in my personal opinion, because you're losing time. And so if you are late on your rotate because you're going for shots, especially when you should have rotated already, people are going to be looking back at you. You're you're like the last person in zone, and then if you rotate, then you're going to be focused, you're going to get looked at. So that's not ideal. This, in my personal opinion, is okay. This is a free shot, right? Because as soon as this doesn't turn into a kill and he realizes there's no opportunity here, he hits him for like 90 and he just moves on. I don't think that's a worry. Also, you have 200 wood and it goes uphill. So if you drop down and go for this kill, maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but I think he can prioritize getting uphill. We'll see what he does. Cracks him there. I think you can chase this, you can go for it, but he doesn't have that many mats, so I don't think you can tarp over it. You probably get focused, so he needs to stay in these builds and actually shoot him from a distance. Right, let's see what he does. Good, perfect. Actually, Like if you only have wood, in that specific case, you only have 220 wood. I don't think you tarp. It's just an invitation to get shot. And usually in the final zones, in the top 10 or top 5, you'll get in a situation where you don't want to move from your safe spot too much, even if it means you'll be at the backside of zone. Because if you have low mats, let's say you have 5 builds of wood, and you tarp, and you're suddenly at 0, and then height sprays you, it's not a good look. So that's essentially what you end up having to do is your safe haven becomes very, very valuable. Your safe haven meaning your box. It becomes very, very valuable. You sort of want to stay in it as much as possible until the last second when it gets to this point in the game. Okay? He decides to go backwards. This is what I mean. You don't even go forward at this point because you'll be exposed to the guy on your layer and height, right? So instead of doing that, he has a man mist and splashes, so he decides to play that instead. He goes completely backwards. Obviously, this is a better play because it'll give you more opportunities where you're able to shoot people where they're not looking at you. And actually, I believe this is the point in the game where this is the prime example of why I think aim is one of the most underrated skills. So really important, he just kills Seti out of the blue purely because of his shot. Like quite literally, that's it. That's the only reason he's able to kill Seti. It's really important that you focus on your aim day in, day out, because sometimes in Fortnite, and I actually scratch that, a lot of times in Fortnite, even mid-game fights and etc., it's very important that you realize sometimes it's just your shot that ends up mattering, right? Yes, maybe you could have made better decisions and traded a little bit better with better edits and stuff. Sometimes it just comes down to the fact, did you hit your shot or not? And so there's a lot of players who play the fight situation correctly and then just miss their shot at the end. And like as a coach, I can't help that. Like there's nothing I could do. Like if you made all the good decisions but then just missed the shot at the end. Ideally, your aim should be a reliable shot. But Vadeal is so good at his aim that it like saves him, right? Not only does it like help him in fights and stuff, but it saves him in situations where he should have died. And so obviously Vadeal's not the only person that it happens to. Anyone with good aim will experience this. Hasten is a really good example actually. Hasten has a really reliable shotgun shot where it saves him out of situations where he should have died. And this is a perfect example, man. His shot is so good and consistent, Vadeal, and I feel like this is a really, really important and contributing factor, a very significant factor as to why he succeeds in Fortnite. Sometimes he'll make the wrong decision, right? Pro players are not perfect. I don't expect you to make the best decision 24/7, especially with so many fast situations where you kind of have to make a decision on the fly. There's no way you have 100% accuracy, right? Sometimes you'll make mistakes. What are you going to rely on in that situation? Your shot, right? Your shot is what's going to bail you out, right? Perfect use of the term in my personal opinion. Top 2, he doesn't have mats. And so let's see what he does. He's crosshair really well. So his crosshair placement is pretty good. Ends up losing. That's okay. I do think he misplays a little bit. So in this particular case, so there's not a guaranteed win. So I think this is not a one game. Theoretically, the guy on height should win. But if you want to improve your odds, I think what he should do here is just stay under the builds. His angle is very easy. So essentially what's happening here, whoever's up here, I don't know if it's a pro player or what, like they're right here, right? Vadeal can't see them. So he doesn't know whether he should cross it here, here, here. It doesn't know, right? But the opponent has the advantage of seeing Vadeal in third person. Why? Because, I mean, if you can imagine someone on this ramp, you can see the enemy on the ground at this angle, at the 45-degree angle, with ease, right? It's very easy with your third person, but Vadeal can't do the same. And that's the advantage of height. You can see your opponent, but they can't see you, right? And so standing in the position that Vadeal is standing on, like as compared to underneath the builds and sort of dancing underneath the builds for as long as possible, that's what he should have done in my personal opinion. Now this only slightly improves his odds. It doesn't guarantee he might have still lost, who knows, but I do think his movement's a little bit off here, right? So he needs to hug. It's really hard on height to shoot straight down. I don't know if you've noticed that. You kind of have to jump out. You kind of have to like Tfue classic your way in. So it's really important that Vadeal positions a little bit better here, but I don't think it would have changed the outcome of this game. The enemy is way too healthy. Probably has a build, I don't know. Probably has mats. Vadeal has no mats. He did pretty good. Top 2 is not something you're crying about ever in solo cash cup. Usually very good. Very good. Vadeal sitting at 600 mats right now. He got sprayed a little bit, but did some damage back. Okay, this is very interesting. I actually like this. So Vadeal hasn't cracked the enemy yet. So the enemy is still greater than 100 HP, somewhere in that realm. But Vadeal is 1 HP. Vadeal made a mistake. He didn't respect the fact that the opponent can do this maneuver and shoot him over the top of this floor. Okay, that's like ideally in a perfect world, he places the wall here. Not now, but like in reflex to the opponent making the movement that he did. Let's see. right here. Like he should place this wall. It's kind of hard. I don't blame him for it. Like I don't think I would have reacted this way. It happened a little bit quickly, but it's really important that you do that. It's obviously it would have prevented the shot. At this point, the opponent's showing clear signs of having no mats. So what should you do? I personally think he should continue going for shots, but maybe he can get up to the very top of the build. Let's see what he ends up deciding to do. Okay, the guy's one shot. So maybe that... Wow, he is white, I guess. Okay, so they're both 1 HP. So Vadeal decides to go for the play instead of healing, which I can agree with. I don't think there's an issue there. Usually, if you guys are both low, there is a reason to sort of fight anyways, because you're both low. You guys are both one shot. It's the same thing as being 200, right? The only difference is that you're more susceptible to third parties, and then you're also like one shot. So then literally the next shotgun shot, whoever hits the next shotgun shot will win. Very good aim, hits 150. I want you to notice the difference. Let's pretend for a second that Vadeal hits 30 there because his aim is meh, right? And so a lot of people would argue aim is kind of lucky or unlucky in Fortnite, which I absolutely cannot, like, it is such a delusion. Like, I don't know why people think that. There's a pellet system in Fortnite, so obviously your aim is going to matter, right? If you hit more pellets, the harder your shot will be. So despite what you believe, aim does matter, and it is very consistent in Fortnite. This is how it is. Your aim does matter. It absolutely affects how long your fights take. In this specific case, if Vadeal hits 30, his fight takes forever, right? And so there's this alternate universe where someone comes in because his fight takes long, and then third parties him, and then his game gets scuffed because of it. But because he hits 150 here, the amount of value he gets from that in his fight is incredible. It's a huge difference, right? Hitting him for 30 as compared to 150 in that one opportunity is a huge difference, and therefore aim is a very important skill, and we must respect it for the skill that it is and practice it every day, especially if you're trying to become a pro player. If you're an aspiring professional player in Fortnite, notice the pattern of all pro players having good aim, and then understand that it's a necessity, not a asset. Like, it is absolutely very important for you to have good aim. It's an S tier skill, I would say, and so practice that. Be very good at it. Obviously box fighting and peaks and they're also S tier skills and very important to learn as well, but doesn't mean you neglect your aim. Okay, he's trying to get in for obvious reasons. Hit the guy 150. Oh my. Let's take a look at that one more time. Nothing to analyze, but like, holy, that guy hit max when he whipped around. It's good. Yeah, I mean, ideally, I like the play that he did. I think this is a little bit unlucky, the opponent hitting that sort of number while looking away from him. I don't blame him too much. Let's just move on. I think it's a very niche situation we don't need to cover. So, Endgame. He's doing the same thing. What is he doing here? We've seen this before in the video, didn't we? It's called targeting the same opponent that you have info on. I don't know why he's not jumping in. Should he not? Like, quite literally, should he not? Maybe it's a low layer and it could pull uphill. I don't know. I think, let's see. Okay, let's rewatch that one more time. It's an 18 white after the crack, so the guy's 60 HP approximately. I guess you could jump in. He chooses a safer route, so I don't think that's wrong. I really, it's not a mistake. He does have 700 mats, 400 of it being metal, so that's pretty reasonable. And there's also, I mean, if you consider this is a lower layer, more congested layer, he's on a pretty good layer right now, so that jumping down to get this impact would mean you have to sacrifice your layer. And on top of that, there's an enemy in this box right here, an additional enemy, so you might get third party from that angle. The only angle I could see jumping in this guy is probably from the left side, so if you want to. I feel like Malabuka might have went for this. I don't know why. Maybe it's just wrong. I don't think so. I think he goes for that. But at the same time, look how many people are left. Only 17 people, right? And you have a decent amount of mats, so like, it's not wrong to do either, in my personal opinion. But it's like, he's aggroing here. The other kill was just much free. Like, the other kill was just way better, in my personal opinion. And also, usually, not a lot of people have that info. Yes, there's the crack and it's audio cue. It's really easy to sort of pick up on. But not a lot of people sort of understand that guy's low. So you're sort of taking a fight against someone where only you have the data and you have the info that they're low. Okay, this guy's yeah, I actually want to point this out. This is really, really cool. So he grapples ahead. That part's pretty simple. This is not, you know, self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. But right here, why does he hesitate? Why does he pause? He knows the guy's in there, right? The reason he pauses is because he's trying to check. He's pretty low, if you notice. Like, he's not fully free. He's trying to check if this guy's looking at him or not. And so this goes back to the idea of paying attention to your opponent. You need to stare at them. You need to think about what they see or what they're interpreting or what their next move is, or just read your opponent. That's really important, okay? And so before he blindly like monkey edits here, okay, as most people would try to do, he tries to pay attention to what the opponent is up to and whether they notice video or not, right? And so if you can establish that the opponent does not notice that you are ready to edit and you're just sitting there and ready to just, you know, open on them, then it's probably a safer edit than usual, right? And so it encourages you to go for it. He establishes that the opponent doesn't know that Vadeal's here. The opponent doesn't even know that this is an enemy wall, and so, you know, he opts to edit. Pretty good. Unfortunately, he misses. That's a whole new story, but that's completely separate from the point. The point is the fact that you should pay attention to your opponent. If they're not looking at you, you can edit, but like, you should do the checks, especially if you're low, especially if you're one shot like this. If they're staring at you and you make a wide edit across the top, just like Vadeal did, you probably just lose the game right then and there. I have to continue with my argument of the fact that he should have pushed that guy.
Fucking G.
Not this guy, but the guy previously who he cracked. I really do think he should have went for the aggressive play. I don't see why not. It goes back to the idea of if you have a lot of mats, then like, oh, I'm too scared to push or whatever. You can make that argument, but I don't agree. I think it's if you execute that fight well enough, I don't see why it wouldn't work. Especially if you approach it from the right, the good angle as well. In that case, you should go to the little bit to the left. This is good. Yeah, I think in this specific case, he edits right away because of the fact that the opponent just arrived. So they have to like cover everything. He also wants to cone as fast as possible. Like, if you notice, just body language wise, right? You notice what the opponent's up to. He's going from left to right like this, very consistently. Like he doesn't pause or like look at video or anything. So this seems like a very safe edit to do because the opponent doesn't look Vadeal's way. Pretty good. And so even if the opponent doesn't die on the first shot, you can kill him on the second. You just need to reset and catch the enemy shot that's coming, and you're good to go. Spams cones, cover his head, right? Because he's on low ground. The only threat's going to be from above him. And so if you can spam cones and cover your head, then you're pretty safe to go for that loot. And you should go for that loot for obvious reasons. If you're running out of mats. So right now he's sitting at 700 mats. Zone pulls. Look at his eyes right here, guys. There's an audio cue when zone pulls, okay? I want you to listen to it. I'm gonna be quiet. I know you guys probably recognize it. I want to be quiet. That little music cue. And so just pay attention to Vadeal's eyes. You can kind of see where I'm going. He's looking at the minimap. He's looking up here, right? Why? He wants to look where his zone goes. That much is probably obvious to you guys, but what's not obvious is that he sort of has this habit, right? Hears the sound, checks minimap, and he does it every single time. And so a lot of people get into this trap where they don't notice zone pulled, right? The only time they notice is when they have a coach in their call. And I notice this myself with students of mine or people that I'm coaching, is if I forget to mention that zone pulled, sometimes they just don't know. And it's crazy. And I'm like, oh shit, like, dude, zone pulled, you gotta go, right? And it blows my mind. I don't blame them. There's a lot of stuff to track in Endgame, but like Vadeal as a fragger, he's not even an IGL who, like, usually people of IGL status will like respect this more zone pulling, but as a fragger, he still respects it, right? He knows the importance of knowing exactly where zone goes, but more importantly, knowing it early, because then you can make the correct move. In this specific case, zone actually pulls to the top right. In the game, that means it goes to where he just looted, right? And so if you think about the terrain goes slightly downhill. So Vadeal's like sitting up here, zone pulls this way, and so he's trying to go down here and claim these bottom layers, right? He's trying to claim this layer. Why? Because if you claim this layer, you're on ulti low, which is usually an advantage because then no one can spray you out from below. You can focus one end. You're saving mats because you don't have to place the floors. There's a whole bunch of benefits, but more importantly, this is a new fresh layer that didn't previously exist in the game, so you can guarantee it's empty, and it's usually not contested even for like the next 20 seconds by someone else. So it's really good. So I think that's what he should do. Right, and so I think that's what he ends up doing. He's gonna drop. He should drop, right? I don't think you should stay up here. You drop down on the low ground. Very good. Spams mats. Why? Because there's more mats to pick up. And in general, I think you should claim. The zone's moving really, really slow. And he has an excess of mats for the position in the game. What I mean by that is he goes even a layer further. Like, think about what this looks like. Okay, I'm gonna redraw this because I want to make a point. Right, that's a pretty steep hill. Okay, so let's say this is the zone. Okay, but zone's like really like close to the new layer. It's like this is where Vadeal is right now. There's no space for someone else to be. That's really good if your intention is to survive and chill and not get fought. Right, so just constantly keep on going down into the bottom layers as zone slightly moves downhill. That's gonna be a benefit to you guys. This goes back to the fact that you should notice where zone pulls very quickly, because if you don't notice where it pulls very quickly, you're going to miss the opportunity, and someone who's experienced in your lobby will take that position from you because they understand that it's a good spot, right? And so if they get towards front of zone and they realize it's not taken, they're going to just cut in front of you and take it for themselves. So that's why it's really important when zone pulls, when you hear that audio cue, take a look at your mini map, realize where zone is pulling, and then do the thing that's according to that situation. So maybe if it's going downhill and you need to claim, then by all means claim. Notice how Vadeal's not fighting here. He can very easily have an opportunity to get top 2 and just win this game if possible, by just chilling. He has the mats to survive, and so he decides to chill until this point. Bams cone. He needs to get up on this floor probably before he fights. Grabs the barrel. Really good at it. Let's go. You see how he's hugging the wall? It's a very classic peek with the low ground peek. Is you hug the wall in front of you and it gives you a better angle to actually shoot people. So highly recommend doing that. I think you guys know that already. If you guys learned something new, leave it down in the comments below. I want to know specifically, what did you learn? Like, tell me what you learned, right? So if you guys think something is valuable, maybe you undervalued aim or you learned something new, let me know in the comments below. I'll be reading through them and I want to know what specific topic helped you guys and, you know, surprised you or helped you learn something new about Fortnite. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.